Ice rinks are being skated on. Hoops are being filled with basketballs. The crack of the bat can be heard from miles away. Oh, and by the way, we're back in the studio. So very fortunate. So glad to have you guys here with us today. Sports have made their return in the professional realm. NHL, NBA, MLB, finally getting a season going. What a time to be in, ladies and gentlemen. Except this time with maybe a few more restrictions, kind of a halt in the normalcy of how things would usually operate. But let's take what we can get. Lesson of the day here, people. And that is basically all that we can do at this point. So greetings. If you're popping on in to the 2020 Summer Series, you should be on episode 6. If you're all caught up, that's wonderful. If not, that's okay. We got plenty of other content to share out with you guys. But yes, finally back in the studio, utilizing our resources that make us most proud, and the opportunity for creativity is just endless. I'm stoked to be back in here. You can notice right away a difference in the sound quality from the home computer as compared to actually working in the studio. I'm glad to have you guys in here. Let's not waste any more precious minutes. Let's get this show on the road. As we roll into the later segments of the Expedition League season, look at this SaberDogs team and just how jammed it is record-wise between the divisional, Trapper, and Big Sticks. How'd you like to be in the Clark division? That goes to show you that the less teams, the better chance you have to make it far, only if you do your part correctly. Well, rather, effectively. And the SaberDogs find themselves probably was most likely to be predicted by many before the season started in such a jam-packed, tight race, all for a spot, all to be guaranteed one of the spots in the Expedition League Championship Series. As I look at this schedule now, not counting tonight, which I am recording this on the 6th of August, not including tonight, there's a mere 13 games left. 6 of them left at home, which that is how the SaberDogs will finish up the regular season, is a little simple 6-game homestand. Simple, but yet, what are the stakes going to be like by the time we get to that point? This is why right now, against Pierre, Fremont, Hastings, the teams that the SaberDogs will have coming up in just a little bit, get these wins now, and you'll have greater odds going into that final homestand, which the SaberDogs have had a lot more success at home, but on the road, not quite the same. We are most certainly at that point where the SaberDogs need to put on their road warrior faces, go out there, compete. I mean, for how much high-octane offense we've seen in matchups closely with the Pure Trappers, my thoughts were that the Dogs could compete with these guys. Pierre's proving no guarantee right now. Although we've seen some landslides, we've seen them could be going either way. One of the few past Saturdays, the SaberDogs took it 18-6, if I recall. Then just last night, Trappers had it their way. That one was 17-5. You see what I mean by landslides? Could be going either way. However, the SaberDogs have to do it. They got to find a way to compete. Believe that you can beat the Trappers. Because like I said, it's a tough crowd with these guys. And sometimes you may need a little luck in the scoreboard. But that's something you can never rely on. Start doing it yourself. I think the SaberDogs most certainly have the capabilities and the firepower. Definitely start making that push and really just pull off a run here that, yes, it's going to be hard, but we've seen crazier things happen before. As I am recording this now, the SaberDogs are in Pierce, South Dakota, facing the Trappers. Had a game that was canceled the other night, so they will have a continuation of that game, plus a 7-inning game followed by the first one, just to make sure that they get the standings correct. Each team has a fair chance, and we just wait and see, cheer on our boys, because it is on. The race to the postseason, it is on. While we stay on topic about postseason, there are other few minor clubs that have just gone through this phase. With Legion/Senior Babe Ruth Baseball, the Metros and Vistas making their fair share of appearances in the state Class A and Class AA tournaments. I gotta say, starting off with the Vistas, we almost had an upset alert. And even if the Governors from Bismarck still claiming victorious over the Minot Vistas in Game 1, that's still no reason to be disappointed at the turnout. For 8 whole innings, Eli Nissen and his arm did all that he could against a very tough Bismarck Governors team with a star like Cade Feeney leading the charge. You know, for Nissen to do that all the way through, you got to applaud what this team did. Even if the result didn't come out the way we wanted it. 2-1 in extra innings in a 2 versus 7 seeds. I mean, you just got to appreciate what the Vistas did there. Put the Governors on upset alert, and they didn't want any of it. We almost had it, but the second seed Bismarck prevailed, and so Vistas will head to the consolation bracket, or the Stay Alive bracket, as what I've heard it was called. You can't knock these Vistas, again, for what they did the other day. Teams should be proud for how well they kept up with Bismarck. And, you know, they took that, you know, to the next game versus the Dickinson Rough Riders. And Vistas, little feel-good story, winning 4-1 the next day, keeping their season alive. Aiden Olney pitching another gem for the Vistas. And then today, the matchup with Grand Forks. Another dense look at the scoreboard, showing 4-3, but GF pulling away barely. And for the Vistas, just in these close games, they're showing us that they have that defensive bite, that defensive battle. They're just another example of anything can happen in these state tournaments, and that they want to send a message to the rest of the league saying, hey, don't forget about us. But I think if you're a Vistas fan, parent, or player, or coach, be proud of how much this team put in, the work, the effort. They certainly showed up. It was just that the better team got the victory out of it. And Bismarck and Grand Forks are no teams to mess around with either. But for the Vistas, just let it be known that they did all that they could, but rather not without a fight with some true contenders. So be proud, boys. As for the Minot Metros in the Class A state tournament, we can definitely say they did all that they could, being the last seed from the Western Division. But the bounces weren't coming the Metro's way, having lost 9-0 to the West Fargo Vets, and in the loser out game 6-4 versus the Bismarck Reps. But having missed last year, they're definitely making some progress, getting to the up and up for the club. One more piece of state tournament news to talk about for Class B. Well, rather, coming up this weekend, Corbett Field will be the destination home for the state Class B tournament. While the Sabre Dogs are on the road, you can most certainly still catch some nice fun at the ballpark. Many small area teams will all be competing in Minot this upcoming weekend. This week in the recruiting roll call, saying it slowly. Don't know why I'm doing this, but we got another one of these. Like I said earlier, there are too many track and field recruits. Too many as in to report all in one episode. Nothing against recruiting as many as the team needs. But that's good that you can get that many recruits all ready for a new season. But let's continue on. Samantha Brunel, Poplar High School, Wolf Point, Montana. She is a thrower. Leaf Nelson from Devil's Lake, North Dakota. How convenient for yet another local athlete to be coming up to Minot State. Of course, Devil's Lake, North Dakota, and Devil's Lake High School. Marco Murillo from Pomona High School in Arvada, Colorado. He is a distance runner. Oh yes, and Leaf Nelson is the thrower. Grace Loftus, her specialty is in sprinting and jumps. From Havre High School in Havre, Montana. Monica Okapal from UC Irvine in Reno, Nevada, the same city that Samuel Crines came from. Juan Gutierrez from Hartnell College, a transfer, a distance runner coming to us from Hollister, California. Monica also does the same thing as Juan. Joining us from Northwood University, so another transfer from Lansing, Michigan, distance runner, Tristan Mencilis Finnerty. Welcome. Ashley Miller is a sprinter from Indian Hills Community College, if I am reading that correctly, from Monroe, Iowa. I am now at the point where I may be repeating names here, but Christian Birdhat is a distance runner from Wolf Point High School in Wolf Point, Montana. Sophia Kenyon from Kinsley High School in Belpre, Kansas, a thrower. Vincent Goreka from Elmwood Park High School in Elmwood Park, Illinois, a sprinter. Joseph Green from Guam, he's a sprinter. I believe I got Chase Tandy and Kenzie Kellum. If not, I'll read them again. Kenzie from Mountain View High School in Wyoming. Sprints and jumps, Chase Tandy, a transfer from Kentucky State, from Danville, Kentucky. And I believe I got every one of them. that should be it for all of the incoming MSU track and field recruits. If I missed a few names, let me know. I will gladly get that fixed for you guys. But this week in the recruiting roll call, Minot State Wrestling in the 174-pound weight class from Big Piney High School, love the name, in Pinedale, Wyoming, Justin Seaman. This week in the recruiting roll call, I can't say for sure I got this person already, but just in case, Gracie Perry, a forward going to Minot State women's hockey. She's from Black Diamond, Washington, and played for the Pilot Mount Hockey Academy, the Buffaloes. They are from the CSSHL. And I think, to my understanding, that is all that we have for this week's recruiting roll call. And that, my friends, you have just made it through another episode of the 2020 Summer Series. A quick note that the Minot Sports Podcast is a production of KMSU TV and Radio. Feels so good to be back in the KMSU studios. Much thanks to all getting involved, helping out with the podcast. We'd also like to thank our in-house sponsors, supporters, Joshua Strong Photography. He does fabulous at what he does. And he's making a pledge to get better every day and always trying all sorts of new things to his agenda. So check him out on social media. Also check out the MSU Red and Green newspaper, always providing updates going on around the Minot State University campus. With that, that concludes episode 6. Thank you guys for coming out. As always, take care and have a nice day. Keep on rooting for the Minot sports teams.